All right. So yes, we are live. We are live on YouTube. And hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, dear educators. Thank you so much for joining. Just hold on a second. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we have with us a very special guest from, like we say, Sat Samundar Par. We have somebody joining. We have Mitch joining from US. He is the COO of a really futuristic, amazing learning tool called 3D Bear, and he's with us today to let take us through the journey of how this tool will take the teaching learning experience of the classroom to the next level. All right, so Mitch, over to you, and thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for joining us.
Well,
I know it's pretty early morning there, so thank you so much for taking out time. Please.
well, thank you so much, Rishali, for having me, and thank you to the whole Orange Slate team. My name is Mitch Weisberg. I'm here just outside of New York City, in the U.S., where it's 8 o'clock in the morning here, and I guess it's 6:30 in the evening in India. So I'm going to be talking to you about a really exciting tool called 3D Bear, and it's about using augmented reality in the classroom. Because we're only going to be spending maybe 20 minutes this afternoon or this evening, so I'm just going to be able to touch on some of the features, but there's a much more in-depth academy which lasts actually 1.5 hour sessions to really go into deep learning techniques. And this QR code here on your screen will take you to the Deep Learning Academy if you're interested. And of course, also, if you go to the 3D Bear website, which is really just 3dbear.io here, there's an avatar here for downloading 3D Bear. 3D Bear is free. There's also a enhanced version with a small subscription fee, but you can use it, and your students can use it for free just by going to 3dbear.io and clicking on download. It works on iOS devices and it works on Android devices. So let me just go into what the things that I thought that I'd cover. And also, if you're interested in these slides, you can put your phone and have it face this QR code here on the right, and you can get access to these slides as well. So you can see the different lessons that we're going to be talking about and the different techniques. You can have those. But this evening, we're going to be talking about how augmented reality helps teachers promote deep learning in the classroom. We'll be seeing some examples of how students learn using 3D Bear, demoing an actual lesson. You'll see many examples of different types of lessons that teachers have used throughout the curriculum, and we'll open it up to questions as well. If you have questions and want to put them in the chat, Vishali is going to be monitoring the chat, and she can interrupt me, and I can answer any questions. So with that, let me go into the pedagogy behind 3D Bear. And we all be
There's just
yes,
one request. Can you please present the screen so that it's like full screen, the content?
sure,
Thank
sure.
you.
Let me just oops, darn, I always do that. I think of share, and it's slideshow. Is that better?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So we all got into education because we love watching kids when they become really excited learning. And that really happens when kids get to really apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. And too often we're following textbooks and we're teaching and we're spewing forth facts and we're getting students to maybe some basic understanding. But where the kids really learn is these higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy. And so 3D Bear is designed to help kids create. So whatever the lesson is that you're teaching, whether it's early education where you're teaching the kids the ABCs or number sense, or middle school where you may be teaching a science or literature, or high school where you're teaching deeper thinking. When kids are applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating, especially if they're having fun, they don't even realize that they're learning. And so 3D Bear is designed to really foment those types of learning in kids. we do that through a three-step process. We call it engage, learn, and master. Very often in teaching, we're so busy teaching content in that middle stage. But in 3D Bear lessons, you really want to get the kids engaged and motivated. So they put in the effort to really learn deeply. Once the kids are hooked, then we go ahead and teach them and let them learn by doing. And we all know that that you don't learn something until you internalize it, until you master it, until you reach a level of fluency. And so the lessons also are also designed to help the children master whatever the content is, so that as you move on to other content, they don't have to rethink and relearn content that you've already taught them. So that's kind of the pedagogy behind 3D Bear. And here's two examples of how kids might use 3D Bear to create. So in the first example, where you may be teaching genetics, this child has shown that if you have a recessive trait and a dominant trait, in the first generation, the dominant trait is in all the animals, and in the second generation, it's a mixture. And so that's probably a middle school or maybe even a high school lesson. Or in the second example, children are showing that they know how to count and add. So you see one sheep, you see two cows that the child has done, and then 1 + 2 means that there's 3 animals. So it's really having the kids do to demonstrate mastery of the concepts that you're trying to teach them. With that, I'm going to now come out of the presentation, and I just want to show you how that looks in practice. It'll take me probably a minute to set up.
Yes, this is what we were looking at the presentation. Now we are actually going to see hands-on how 3D Bear is used in a classroom and how teacher can use in the classroom and how interesting and trust me, very, very interactive this app is. So yes, Mitch, you can
Okay.
do the setup.
Okay. So so I'm still screen sharing. So before I come off of here, so we're going to start off with a basic lesson. Um, let's say that we want the children to show, we're teaching emotions and we want the children to show how they're feeling. So let me stop sharing here. Okay. And move over, and then I'm going to start sharing my iPhone. Okay. So you all are looking at my iPhone, and I'm hoping that you all can see it. And if you see here, 3D Bear is this app here. It's got this picture of a bear paw, and I click on that picture, and I start up 3D Bear. And when it first comes up, it's showing things that other people have done. So there's this feed of other examples of what people have done using 3D Bear. But this plus key on the bottom here is the key item. And I'm going to click on this plus key. And this puts you in create mode. And augmented reality means you're taking what you see through a camera and you're augmenting it. So right now, we're looking through the camera of my device in my room, and we can augment it by putting other items there. So let's just say we're teaching an emotion and we want the kids to demonstrate an emotion that they're feeling. So we have about 500 different objects that kids can use, and I'm just scrolling by these very fast, but one of the objects is about emotions, and I'm going to click on this boy here. And now I have a boy who's happy. And in this scene, well, why is the boy happy? Let us say that he is happy because he has a dinosaur. And so he's got his little dinosaur next to him. And maybe he's also happy because he has a toy car. So he starts building the scene about the things that make him happy, and he can add other things as well. And as you saw, as I put these items in, and it's really easy because I just click on an item and I place it, and I can move it. Okay, I can make it larger. or smaller. Okay, I can move them around. Okay, and I can label them. So I'm going to say this is a scene showing happy. Oops, it might be helpful if I spelled happy right. And you should know, I'm not going to do this because I don't speak Hindi, but we do have the ability to type in Hindi as well. So you can use this for multiple languages. And here we have a scene, happy, and the boy and his car and his dinosaur. And really, that's all a student has to do to illustrate a point. I'm going to now group everything, make it a little bit smaller so that it fits into the picture frame. And this round circle here snaps a picture. And if I were in as a student, I happen to be in as a teacher. If I were in as a student, I could take, I'd punch here, and that would automatically then go to the teacher dashboard so the teacher can display all the things that the different students are doing to the rest of the class. And it's really that easy to create in 3D Bear. As I mentioned, there is about 500 objects in 3D Bear, but also there's another 3 million objects available on Sketchfab. So if I type in, let's say that there was no snowman in 3D Bear, so I type in snowman, because that may also make him happy, because he wants to add to his happiness. And there's more than one snowman here. I'm just going to choose, let's say, this snowman right here. And from these 3 million objects that are available in Sketchfab, I can choose any of those objects and place it in my picture also. And now I can send a new picture to my teacher. So as you can tell, I don't really have any artistic ability. Children don't need to perfect their artwork. They don't need to be great drawers or painters. They're taking existing items and they're using them to illustrate some concepts or to solve some problem that you pose to them. So I'm going to now come out of 3D Bear and stop mirroring. And so, I consider that as simple but elegant. It's something that can be used by students as early as pre-K, and we're getting university students using this also to illustrate concepts. Let me go back to sharing my screen so you can see some of the other things
Yeah,
that
in the
3D.
meanwhile, while Mitch is sharing, I just have a question. So, how do you use for pre-K? Because in pre-K, kids will not be able to do that much, right?
Surprisingly enough, we have 4-year-olds who can do like I did it again, like this scene here. Now the 4-year-old doesn't know the letters SAD, but this scene here, a 4-year-old actually did. It's just placing an object. Now, if they're using an iPad, an iPad is a little bit heavy for a 4-year-old, but things like showing shapes, showing things that begin with particular letters, showing numbers. Yeah, 4-year-olds can do that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So we just showed, starting up, it's an app. You start it up like any other app. You basically are placing items into your photo. You can manipulate the items. You can make them larger, smaller. You can rotate them. You can raise them. And then in the end, what the children do is they take a photo of their scene and they send it to their teacher. Now, we have about 75 lessons currently across the curriculum, and we have these organized by lesson names, what level the lesson hits, and the subject. So when you get 3D Bear, you can go to any of these lessons and you can read through the lesson and see how they might apply to your class. But let me just go through some of the different ideas. So in science, having students recreate biomes or mashing together biomes. Now, obviously, pterodactyls don't exist today, but you could have students put animals that don't exist in a biome, and then give an example of why they might be able to exist. There's tons of health and nutrition lessons that you can do. So you can have the kids create healthy meals. You could have the kids contrast a healthy meal with an unhealthy meal. You could have the kids build food pyramids. Science, one of my favorite lessons is to have the kids reenact what would they do if they lived on Mars. And in order to do that, they have to be able to build a Martian colony and understand what would be necessary in order to colonize Mars. Or they can just do something whimsical, like putting a dinosaur up on Mars, or showing what happened when the Martian module landed on Mars last February. All kids are concerned about what the world's going to be like when they're adults. You can lead a whole discussion where kids develop public service announcements about why this particular thing why is it a problem? Why is poverty a problem today? Or what if we eliminated hunger? What would the world look like? And they could create a public service announcement about that. Or they could do a public service announcement about what's something that we should all do today in order to improve education or promote gender equality. So there's lots of lessons that you can do around the Sustainable Development Goals or the types of problems that children gravitate towards wanting to solve.
Actually, I have a question,
yes.
I think. Yes, Harmeet.
Sure.
Harmeet, you have a question?
Yeah, good evening, sir. This is Harmeet. Can you just go to the previous slide, sir?
I think so.
The UN SDGs?
Yes.
So I was just wondering, could you show the lesson plan over here if it's okay with you? Just to understand that how you are integrating 3D Bear in the plan.
Okay. So if you download these slides, there's a link here. Okay. So you'll be able to do this yourself as well. But so here's the lesson plan, and I'm not sure that you'll be able to see this as well. I'm gonna blow it up a little bit.
I can see it.
Okay. Okay. So the little bit of a background information about what the kids should know.
I understand.
Right. Information for the teacher about how to explain this to the kids. An example of how the kids are going to play subjects. What the SDGs are, links to information about each one of the SDGs that you can give to the kids, and then an example. This is a discussion question. What do you think of these goals? How do you want to help? And then here, this is really designed for 3 different parts, although you really only need to do 1 if you wanted to. So a discussion, you divide the kids into groups, and you have them answer these discussions, and then here is where they use 3D Bear. Create a video to explain why this is a problem. Okay. And then a second discussion will be what would the world be like if this problem were solved? And then again, in 3D Bear, they're going to build a scene on the future that they would like to see. And then also the third discussion that I brought up is, well, what's something that we could all do now in order to start solving this problem? And then they might build a public service announcement on that as well. What are they proposing? How do we start? And how does this work? And then like discussion questions at the end, then
wrap up.
Different options for doing this. So if you don't have a week to go through this, if you only have I guess 2 or 3 class periods, how can you break it down into different class periods? So here's one that takes 11 to 12 class periods. Here's the one that takes 5 class periods, and here's one that takes 3 class periods. So that would be a typical lesson plan in 3D Bear.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Very, very intensive lesson plan, and
very nicely explained, I must say.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay, so basically, that's pretty much the way the lesson plans are designed. So on this one, photosynthesis, but also, in our lesson plan on photosynthesis, that's a scientific principle, but then, relating it to things that kids care about. So this, if you download this slide and you go to this link here, you'll go to a video that a middle school kid did to explain photosynthesis as if it were like a factory, and then also explain deforestation and how that relates to photosynthesis and sustainability. So that's to me, that's a great example of what a kid can do. Math problems, go to, you can have the kids go to the store, and if they had a certain amount of money, what could they buy? And so here, they bought a cucumber and some lettuce, and so they spent $1.25. Field trips. You can have them do different stations at the field trip. So here, students have gone to a park, and at each different places in the park, where would show where a bird would build a nest, show an example of a carbon sink, show what animals could live in this environment, show what animals could not live in this environment. Create a different biome here. Or the one on the right is a space museum where kids go and they have to create different scenes within the space museum. There's videos of student projects. I'm not going to play them here, but again, if you download the slides, you'll be able to see videos that students have done. This is a second grader explaining three-dimensional shapes, and this is, I think, a fourth or fifth grader explaining how to multiply using arrays. So you see that there's 3 rows by 4 columns in this. So 3 times 4 is what, 15? That was a joke. Okay. This is an example of what a child did on sustainable development goals. This is a really good example where the school had the kids redesign the library. And then when they presented it to the principal actually used some of their ideas. Students can recreate stories or create their own stories. So here's 2 examples of fairy tales. But basically, students can, in creative writing, they can create their own movie based on some story that they come up with, or a story that you're reading with them. I showed you one example earlier of social emotional learning, but you can have kids model behaviors that they should or should not do, and then explain those behaviors by creating those scenes in 3D Bear. Holiday scenes, we've just finished with the Christmas and New Year's timeframe. The next holidays that are coming up in 3D Bear are Valentine's Day, and so there's a whole Valentine's Day selection. There's different collections around the different holidays, and plus, of course, you have you can access about 3 million different objects on Sketchfab that incorporate virtually any holiday. Recreating historical scenes or creating historical scenes that didn't take place. So what would it have looked like if Gandhi had done something differently, and have the students develop scenes based on alternative histories is something that kids love to do. Creating a scene from recreating scenes from a book. Again, here, I'm not going to go through these videos, but you have access to them if you download these slides, and I'll do the link a little bit later again. An example from recreating a scene from Goodnight Moon, and then a whole lesson plan about how you do that. This is an you talked about pre-K. This is a kindergartner. I think I will play this. About the letter D.
Hello everyone, my name is Gurmehar Sandhu. Today we are gonna have fun with letter D. So here I begin. Let's see my farmhouse. Are you excited? See these daisy flowers. They're so pretty and white in color. See the grass. It's so fresh and green. See the ducks over here. See the farmhouse. Oh, I just forgot to tell you about my farmhouse. This is a farmhouse where I live. And these are 3 ducks. I keep them safe in my farmhouse from danger. And there's a guard of this farmhouse, the letter D. So let's come over here. Let's see what I have today. What is here?
So, kids just love creating the videos or the scenes and then explaining them to the other class. That girl was doing a whole bunch of scenes about the letter D, but you could have different kids or different groups of kids do different letters and then combine them into an augmented reality ABC movie that you then present to the parents. So those are some examples of how you get kids creating, analyzing, and doing, all the different synthesizing using the different higher levels of Bloom, which really then gets them so motivated that they're doing the hard work of learning and they're not even realizing it. So here's some of the different things that teachers are saying, and I love this one right here. I love talking to my students in my foreign language class, where the students come up and say, "Hey, I'm not creative. I can't do anything." And then the teacher says, "Yes, you are. Try this with 3D Bear." And inevitably, students who had not necessarily done well before through traditional means tend to really star in using augmented reality and creating things on their own. So let me. So that's really what I wanted to present, and we will go in much greater depth in the 3D Bear Learning Academy. I'm going to take you to that URL as well. So if you come here, the 3D Bear Learning Academy, it starts Friday, January 21st through February 18th, and it's being primarily conducted by Shalini Chauhan, who's an ambassador for 3D Bear based out of India. But on, I think it's February 4th, we're also bringing in a guest lecturer from Finland to talk about how Finland deploys advanced learning techniques in order to really inspire students. And we all know Finland every year is ranked 1 or 2 in education. So she'll be going over Finnish secrets to education in the 3rd session. So I hope some of you are interested in coming to the Orange State's 3D Bear Deep Learning Academy. And again, if you would like a copy of these slides, just point your phone to this QR code on the right, and you can access these slides as well. So that's really what I wanted to present. And then I'm kind of open to questions from Vishali or from any of you.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you so much, Mitch. It was really a very nicely you explained how we go in higher level of blooms using 3D bears. Thank you so much. And are there any questions with the participants? Anybody wants to ask anything?
Apologies, I have one more question.
Please, Harmeet, please.
I'll just jump in again. Just wanted to know about this 5-day curricula for, I think it's like a 10-hour thing that we are looking at, right?
90 minutes each day. It's going to be, please, Mitch, sorry.
No, go ahead. No.
It's going to be 90 minutes, 5 days session. It's spread from 21st Jan till 15th Feb. Yeah.
So one is to, actually go through and understand the whole concept of what 3D Bear is and augmented reality is. So any specific software or hardware requirement before that? Or
well, so we'll be using the 3D Bear, which is software. 3D Bear runs on iPhones, iPads, Android phones, and Android tablets. So and you don't need one-to-one. You need, because 3D Bear works really well when kids work together in groups of 2 or 3, but they can use their parents' phones, they can use their own phones in order to work on it. So that's the only hardware requirement.
Is there any subscription fee for the app?
Well, so yes, but in the academy, when you complete the academy, you get a 6-month subscription for 60 students and yourself.
Okay. I was just exploring the software while you were explaining on the iPhone, sharing the iPhone screen. I was just looking at these scenes getting created with the pre-built-in characters. Is there a possibility of designing your own and placing it in the library, something like that? I'm just thinking out loud here.
Well, how good are you? No, I'm just kidding you. Yes. So
kind of not very good, but yeah, have hands-on, a little bit of hands-on.
So when you're in create mode, there's that search bar, and you saw me search in
Yes.
Sketchfab,
Yes.
but as soon as you type in that search, on the right side of the screen, it says import. So if you have a 3D object in now there's two formats. And of course, now that I'm talking, I forgot the two formats. But if you have a 3D object, STL is one of them, then you can import your own 3D object into 3D Bear. Okay. And then the other side of it is Sketchfab allows you to transfer objects to Sketchfab. So if you design an object and then you upload it into Sketchfab, you can then bring it into 3D Bear also. So there's two different ways of doing that.
So there is no possibility of designing our own avatar in Sketchfab, but if you use it, if you design it using another software and import it into Sketchfab, then we can make use of it on our phone, correct?
Exactly. Right. Okay. Or you can just import it directly. You don't have to go through Sketchfab, but Sketchfab is easier because if you do it and you want to make it available to your whole class, if you create an object, it's on your device. But if you upload it to Sketchfab, your whole class has access to it.
Yeah, because as you were talking about the creativity component, children really would like to see themselves, like, the characters that they would want to build on their own. So I was just thinking that if there's a possibility of designing your own character and placing it into the library, that makes it easier for them to, connect with it.
So I don't usually talk about coming features, but in about 2 months, we'll be giving people the ability to design their own 3D avatars in 3D Bear.
In 3D Bear itself?
In 3D Bear itself, that will be in 2 months.
Wow. Really looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Okay. And don't forget, you get a 6-month subscription, so you'll be able to use the basic features now.
I'm just a little conspicuous because of the dates, because we have something lined up already during that time. So I'm just thinking of how to move around things, because this is really very interesting. But
great.
I'm just thinking how to move around a few things, but I'll definitely try and be there, Ushali.
Sure, ma'am. And if there is any question, of course, I'm available, you know it. And I've already shared the link in the chat. I'll also be sharing the link in the WhatsApp group that I've created.
Thank you.
So looking forward to have you for the academy as well. Great. Any more? I'll just check if we have question on other platforms. Yes, we had about pre-primary, but we already addressed that. Okay. Yes, we have one more question. So how do you think, so I know this is a bit, I won't say academic, but how do you think this will foster relationship between teacher and student using 3D Bear?
So the relationship obviously goes both ways, right? It's between the teachers and the students, and it's also between the students and the teachers. And, if the students are loving what they're doing and you're building an environment where the students have voice and choice, they're going to really fall in love with what they're doing, and they're going to fall in love with their teacher. So 3D Bear, I mean, it in itself is just a tool, but it's a tool that makes it a lot easier for a teacher to give students voice and choice, and then kind of give nudges to the students to get them to actually use it in the areas that she most wants them to learn. So that's how, that's why so many teachers have come and said, wow, I love using this with the kids, and the kids love using it because they're working together to build things. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I love it when you say student voice and choice. I think that's right now what we are doing is we are imparting them what we want them to do. I think this tool is going to help. You can have some water, Mitch, if you want.
Oh, that's okay. I'll just cough and die here. That's okay.
No, we don't want to do that. But anyway, great. Thank you so much, Mitch. Thank you so much for your lovely explanation. Thank you so much, dear participants. Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube and Facebook. There's an academy, like Mitch already shared with you. There's a 5-day academy where we are going to learn how to impart deep learning. So this is called a deep learning academy using augmented reality 3D Bear. I've shared the link already in the chat. If you still have any questions, you can write it to us at support@audenstates.com. We're always there to help you, and see you there for the academy. And thank you so much, Mitch, for this, for your time. And yes, see you soon. And please take
Okay, and
care.
everybody have a great evening.
And you have a great day.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.